Donald Trump is now the oldest person in U.S. history to be nominated for president by one of the two major parties. And while I think that age can be a benefit to a president, Joe Biden being a perfect example of that, someone who used their age as experience and expertise to pass historic legislation, with Donald Trump, it's different. What psychiatrists and psychologists have already deemed is that Donald Trump's brain isn't just declining. It's not just cognitive decline, but it's dementing. His brain is dementing, and it just leaves him more dangerous and deranged and more destructive to our democracy if he were to be elected again. And the media for the longest time has not been covering Donald Trump's memory loss or his unhinged rants that clearly come from his declining brain, but people are finally beginning to speak up and speak out in a way that the media will cover. And one of those people is Professor Heather Cox Richardson, who had this to say in Newsweek. Donald Trump is facing increased scrutiny over apparent memory lapses in the wake of Joe Biden pulling out of the 2024 presidential race, according to a prominent academic. Heather Richardson Cox, author and professor of history at Boston College, wrote in her Letters from an American Substack that there are already signs that there might be more attention paid to Trump's apparent lapses now that focus will not be on the 81-year-old president. Richardson suggests that recent reports from CNN noting Trump saying he doesn't know who said he would consider J.P. Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon as his next Treasury Secretary, despite saying this in a Bloomberg News interview earlier in July, means that the Republican could face increased scrutiny about his cognitive ability going forward. His lack of visibility highlights that Republicans are now on the receiving end of the same age and coherence concerns that they used against Biden, and there might be more attention paid to Trump's lapses now that Biden has stepped aside, Richardson wrote. Yes, the age attack has flipped from the constant fascination and attention of the media on President Biden when he would misspeak, when he would say a word wrong. Although it didn't represent any cognitive ability of his, they would just pounce on it and make it a week-long, a month-long story. But now that is the case for Donald Trump, and his own attacks on President Biden as being too old to lead or too in cognitive decline, which is not true for President Biden, but is true for Donald Trump. Those attacks are being flipped on him. It is now Donald Trump on the receiving end. And our friends at the Lincoln Project put together a great ad to see what it's going to look like in the next coming days, coming weeks, coming months, when the attention is on Donald Trump and he is properly called out for his cognitive decline. Let's take a look.
He's too old. He's out of touch, losing his marbles at an alarming rate.
They have sinks where no water comes out. You turn it on, no water comes out. You want to wash your hands, right?
Yeah.
And you've seen this, and you turn on the sink, and it's very little.
I do want to remind everybody, this is the guy that worked with the former Klansman.
I will be Donald Trump's most loyal advocate to make sure his nominees go to the Supreme Court.
Full of his struggles and ramblings and rantings and mumbling and bumbling and stumbling. You decide. Take a look.
They deliberately surrendered our border to vicious coyotes and drug smugglers. I mean, these drug smugglers, the smuggler.
I find it awkward. I find it embarrassing. He's really in the early stages of some kind of senile dementia.
I hope they now go and take a look at the oranges of the investigation, the beginnings.
It's more than awkward and embarrassing. It's actually dangerous. Having someone with his mental state, to me, it's terrifying.
She speaks in rhyme.
In rhyme?
Well, the way she talks, the bus will go here and then the bus will go there, because that's what buses do. It's weird.
He can't finish a sentence.
Anonymous, really anonymous.
The man doesn't know where he's going. He doesn't know where the exit is. He's not sure how to get through a speech.
Mr. President, you need to sign.
Old, outdated, retired, elderly, aging, senile, dementia, slow, confused, idiot, ignorant, sleepy, gaff, bumbling, bad, terrible, disappointing, joke, profanity.
Being corrupt is bad. Being corrupt and senile is even worse.
I absolutely love that ad from the Lincoln Project because it's so funny to see the attacks from the Fox News propaganda outlet that were made on Joe Biden, which will now be turned around on Donald Trump. These attacks that Donald Trump made against President Biden, saying he was too old, saying that he was too in cognitive decline, which is not true of Biden, but is true of Trump. All those attacks will be flipped on Donald Trump. And it's going to be funny to see Fox try to reckon with and reconcile with the fact that Donald Trump is now the candidate in cognitive decline. Donald Trump is now the old candidate, and they're going to have to somehow sidestep all of these concerns that they had about age being an issue in this race in their attempt to praise Donald Trump and say, oh, no, we love age now. Age is great. But, that's just what they do over at Fox. But it's not just the media that is now taking note of Donald Trump's cognitive decline. Psychologist John Gartner had this to say in an interview with The Hill. Professor John Gartner said this of Trump. First, I asked Gartner whether he perceived any difference between the cognitive ability of Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Absolutely, he replied. It's like comparing apples and rotten oranges. It's not just a case of two old men roughly the same age, both showing signs of diminishing sharpness of the mind, Gartner stressed. There's a huge difference between the two, he said. He could not have put it more clearly. Biden is aging, Trump is dementing. And again, I say, the media's fascination with President Biden's age was just flat out wrong. Sure, a couple more words than usual weren't exactly on the spot, but President Biden was still delivering at a historic level. He was still doing the job as president, a job that Donald Trump couldn't do 4 years ago and certainly can't do for the next 4 years, not only because of his cognitive ability, but because of his failed ideas. And like I said at the top of this video, it's not that age is a bad thing. It can mean experience. It can mean expertise. And those are things Joe Biden has, and they certainly don't find themselves with Donald Trump. But what Donald Trump's real issue is the age of his ideas, that he is the past and he wants to push us back in the past. And Kamala Harris hit on this so perfectly in a speech that she gave earlier with regard to reproductive freedom that we just have to watch it. Let's take a look.
Our fight for the future is also a fight for freedom. Generations of Americans before us have led the fight for freedom, from our founders to our framers, to the abolitionists and the suffragettes, to the freedom riders and farm workers. And now I say, team, the baton is in our hands. We who believe in the sacred freedom to vote. We who are committed to fight to pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act and the Freedom to Vote Act. We who believe in the freedom to live safe from gun violence. And that's why we will work to pass universal background checks, red flag laws, and an assault weapons ban. Who will fight for reproductive freedom, knowing if Trump gets the chance, he will sign a national abortion ban to outlaw abortion in every single state, but we are not going to let that happen.
Yes, well, the contrast is clear between a 59-year-old Kamala Harris and a 78-year-old Donald Trump. It's also clear that there's a contrast between their ideas. Kamala Harris wants to protect and enshrine and ensure fundamental freedoms that all of America should enjoy. Well, Donald Trump wants to strip those same freedoms away, and he wants to push us back 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years in the past. Like I always say on the show, Project 2025 isn't about 2025. It's about pushing us back to 1925. There's a difference between these two candidates, not only in their age, but in the age of their ideas. Whether they want to be pushing us towards the future, like Kamala Harris, or they want to be pulling us back to the past, like Donald Trump wants to. That's the difference in this campaign. That's the difference, is that it is about ideas and what the future represents. And like Kamala Harris continues to say in the excellent speeches she's making on the campaign trail, we're not going back. We're not going back to Donald Trump's failed economic policies. We're not going back to a place where Donald Trump strips us of civil liberties. We're not going back to a place where Donald Trump continues to attack women's reproductive freedom. We're not going back. We're going forward with Kamala Harris. And if you want to join in on that fight, if you want to be a part of this movement supporting Kamala Harris and fighting back against the MAGA movement, make sure that you go ahead and hit that subscribe button. As always, join what we are building on this channel. This channel is only 2 weeks old, and yet we have already blown past 60,000 subscribers, and that is because of y'all. That is because of the positive community you are building with me right here on this channel, and I am so incredibly proud and grateful for it. It is just so incredible what we've already been able to build. And if you like this video, if you like what this channel is building, make sure to hit that thumbs up, leave a like on this video. It really goes a long way. And let me know in the comments, as always, if you are a new subscriber. I like to scroll through, see my new subscribers, give them a shout out, say thanks. And if you're an old subscriber as well, and you just want to say hi in the comments, I'd love that too. I'd love to say hello. Y'all's support, it really means so much to me. It really, really does. And until next time, I'll see you soon.